right, here we are. Podcast number 3. We got a couple of guests here. We got my man, Coop, logistics for Good Dudes Coffee, lab. And we got my man, Bear, over here, Born Primitive. I don't know if you've heard of him. Small company.
What's up, dude? How we doing? Doing?
So we're going to just fire it up and talk and have some conversation. If it's good, good. If it's not, tell us that it sucks.
Or don't.
Just don't comment. Or just keep listening. So what's up? So Bear, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man. Good little pump earlier too.
Yeah, we got a little workout in before this little episode here, and so
don't let them know who won.
We me and Bear, obviously military guys, teamed up against Coop and Dom, but Dom's a military guy, but he's Air Force. So that's not really military. Just kidding for all our Air Force guys out there and gals. But yeah, we had a good time. So now we're going to do a little podcast, talk about clothing, because that's what Born Primitive does, and whatever else comes up to mind. Coffee, maybe? I don't know. Who knows? Got a couple of turds over there on the stairs listening in. Awesome. So Bear, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right on, man. So grew up in the Midwest, youngest 3 brothers. Went out to the East Coast for college, played some football out there for a few years.
Small college, what was the name of it again?
Went to Yale.
Big deal.
Went to school in New Haven.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be one of those.
Played some ball, knocked some heads for a few years, got out, graduated and went and worked for Red Bull for a few years.
Nice.
Did some marketing for them, and then ended up launching Born Primitive, and then kind of, joined the military as well. So between those two things, keeping me pretty busy. But yeah, man, that's the quick down and dirty.
I like it. It's a good story. How old are you?
32.
32, man.
Yeah, man.
32 years young, and he's freaking crushing it. I mean, it's a pretty good list of things that you've already accomplished at 32.
Well, we snuck in the games in there too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You're CrossFit Games.
I'm no individual. I'm not like you freaking Titans, but we did the team division back in 2013.
Right. He picked up. You remember he was telling me the story earlier. You tell it again. Go ahead.
Well, my one claim to fame is that I can say back in my day, the worm was made of wood.
That's right.
That was the first year.
When the games were hard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now all these softies get that canvas worm.
Bag of sand.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was a 2-mile buy-in around the stadium into the pig flip. And then you had to pick up the worm with your team and run it through the bowels of the stadium and out, which was pretty dope. You finished in the soccer stadium, like the final 100 yards. So, it was a good time, man.
For anybody who's never been in the bowels of the stadium of the
StubHub,
what's it called? Home Depot now. It is loaded with the smell of diesel. It is hard. That was like, I remember I actually just did a podcast the other day where we went over all of the games, the 2013 events. And I brought that up. I was like, you had to do this little jaunt from the soccer field, not the soccer field, the practice field over to the soccer stadium, and you had to run underneath the stadium.
Yep.
And that was one of the hardest parts, is because you're literally running through diesel fuel smell the entire time, where you're like, oh, I'm going to pass out.
Yeah. That was part of the event, I guess.
Part of the event, exactly. I think Dave had something in mind, had something to do with that there. So
with everything you do, man, like how did Born Primitive really come to fruition?
Yeah, it was kind of a fluke. I was telling Josh about it. Started with a custom pair of compression shorts. I basically was doing a lot of Olympic lifting, and I was drilling my pubic bone when we were doing snatch, which, some of you might have, we can all kind of nod at done that before. So I took an old McDavid football girdle and stitched that honeycomb pad into the kind of the crotch area just for myself. I had one prototype, and I would wear them 3 days a week, and then people were like, yo, dude, you should make those. People would buy those. So I was like, no way. And I looked into it. Long story short, I made a couple hundred and kind of dabbled in that, and they were actually we're selling pretty quick.
Genius.
And then I realized, hey, this kind of limits me long run though. So let's try to launch a brand, because then you can do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
If you're just a product focused company, then all you have is that one product. But with the brand, you can go anywhere.
Exactly.
You can go, drinks, clothing, whatever you want to get into.
Yeah.
Cast a wider net. So kind of hit the reset 6 months in.
Yeah.
And then, kind of rebranded to Born Primitive, and, super small. I started doing t-shirts and, going card table set up at every little CrossFit event. That was the first couple of years. And, even when I was competing, at regionals, we would be vendors there.
Right.
So I would go do my heat and then I'd run back to the booth and I'd be selling t-shirts.
No big
and then
deal.
I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go warm up.
Right.
And I'm all sweaty and chalky and I'm probably not even wearing a shirt.
That was the hustle back then of the CrossFit Games athletes where you weren't making any money. So you had to figure out how to make money, but you still wanted to compete because you love competing probably.
Yeah. And at that time I was full time with Red Bull too. So I was just, I wasn't sleeping a whole lot, and we were training our butts off, you know, with obviously with the CrossFit training regimen is not, not something that
not small volume.
Yeah, exactly.
Volume's high.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Hours are long.
Exactly. You know the drill. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. It's such a cool story, but I feel like that's so common to hear when it comes to really cool products though, right? Like I feel like Good Dude's Coffee, that's exactly how I was born. I was born out of me being stupid and buying unroasted coffee beans in Iraq on my second deployment to Iraq. I literally bought unroasted coffee beans and I was like, well, shit, what am I going to do with, 60 pounds of unroasted coffee? So I literally had a air roaster sent over, and that's literally how I got into coffee.
Yeah, that's wild.
But exactly.
That's wild.
It's born out of necessity sometimes.
Yep.
And so
100%.
what's funny is I used to take, I didn't know about your shorts, but I remember reading about them because I used to just take a knee sleeve.
Yeah,
and just a knee sleeve and just tuck it in right into your underwear.
And that's the thing, man. That's why I ended up launching it, because I looked up like a bunch of Olympic weightlifting forums, and I'm like, I'm not the only one that does this. So there's one guy who was like a popular lifter. I don't remember who it was, but he would cut out a scrap of carpet and put a scrap of carpet down there. And then there was this one dude who was like a silver medalist in the Olympics that had actually fractured his pubic bone in competition.
What was his name?
I don't remember, dude. I just remember being like, okay, if there's Olympians doing this,
right?
And then there's gonna be haters like, oh, well, if you're hitting your pubic bone, you're not doing it right. I get that. That's fine. Like, I probably don't have perfect technique.
We're CrossFitters. We're not Olympic weightlifters.
Yeah, exactly. But bottom line was, there's kind of a need here. Obviously, if Olympians are doing it, so what the hell? Let's give it a shot, see what happens.
Genius, right? And exactly. And you built a brand out of it, and that's what's awesome. So instead of exactly like you said, just sticking to one product. But it's cool, man. I mean, I'm stoked to hear that. Always love to see military guys going on and doing really cool stuff outside of the military, because obviously you just have that brotherhood when you're in the military, and you appreciate everyone and what they're doing for their country, and then to see them go on and do other awesome stuff outside of it, it's always really cool.
Hell yeah.
I think a lot of us were just type A, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can't sit still. And you're the same way. Like it's like, you can be content with just doing one thing, but you know what I mean? It's like, oh, what am I going to do with the other hours of the day? Even though there's really not that many, but screw it. Let's go. Yeah, exactly. Let's put too much on our plate at all times.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So how did the name Born Primitive come out? That's something that's always intrigued me.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I always felt like when you worked out, it kind of tapped into that like innate instinct we have. You know what I mean? Like that kind of savage like instinct. Mm-hmm. And the idea is like, obviously thousands of years ago, like people were way more savage than we are now, because it was like essential for survival. You know what I mean? Right. Like hunting for their food and shit.
What are you talking about, man? Like we're drinking coffee out of little cups right now.
Exactly.
Like, this is manly.
I got my pinky out right now.
Yeah, right.
And you know what I mean? And that was essential to survival, like that, but so the idea is like you're when we're born, we still have that, but obviously we get domesticated instantly because of the modern comforts of society.
Yeah.
But I feel like when we work out, like when we just hit that workout back there, like
those new worms they have.
When you're ripping those deadlift, like that's you're tapping into that. And I wanted to obviously be a fitness focused brand that kind of champions like the ambition and just like kind of that mindset. That's kind of how we end up settling on it. So
I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good name. Exactly. It doesn't. There's some names out there where you're like, that's a little corny kind of thing, but it doesn't do that at all. It's like I dig the name actually. So it's
thanks,
cool.
Man. Thanks.
Yeah.
I like abbreviations too. I like that it goes to BP.
Yeah. And we're not the gas company. Yeah.
Hey,
right.
Yeah. If you were, you may be making a lot more money. But whatever.
Maybe I should be in that space.
Lower our rates.
Yeah, exactly.
So what Josh, you're a business guy, right? With Good Dudes and
we'll see. I dabble. I dabble in everything. Golfer, boxer, businessman,
endurance athlete.
Right.
What's next? Who knows? But no, dude, you're a business guy now, right? Like, and you've kind of transcended just being a games athlete into a business owner and having to do some nitty gritty stuff and have weekly phone calls, or daily phone calls really to make things work. Like what's some for both of you, right? What are some good lessons you've learned thus far in terms of business?
Good question. For me, it's like I'm sure there's great lessons out there that I've already learned. I'm trying to think of them offhand. But one of the things for me is like I'm trying to treat business like I would my competition, or like being a competitive athlete, where I'm trying to win. I feel like I can win, even though I'm not really directly competing against like other people, but there's always obviously other companies out there, and I want to be the best.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm just striving to be the best and always trying to think of like trying to grow. And I think that the military definitely helped me do that. You know, like in the military, if you start to think that you, in anything, sports, military, everything, where like the moment you think you know everything, you should retire because you're obviously done with whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And so always trying to think outside the box, trying to be steps ahead of other competitors, right? Like what are they doing and what's the next step? Where is it going? Not like where have people already been, where's it going and where can we be at, you know, to be a step ahead of those guys. Yeah. So that's just something that I've always like learned. And I'm really enjoying the business world. I never thought that I would. There's nothing ever I inspired to be. I was a loan officer and a telemarketer for like 4 years, and I wanted to blow my brains out every day. I was like, this is awful.
Well,
like,
you picked the like worst business. Like, I want to be a businessman, but I want to be miserable.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they were awful. And so this has definitely been a better experience than that so far. And it's been fun transitioning from competitive athlete to business owner and just trying to stay competitive inside that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, and you're passionate about it, which is a huge thing. Because when it sucks, I mean, don't get me wrong, entrepreneurship is not glorious whatsoever.
No.
But if you're passionate about what you're doing, it makes the tough days easier.
For sure.
But yeah, Bear, I'd like to hear what you've learned too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for starters, you got to have the balls to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a huge barrier to entry for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, they probably have a comfortable 9 to 5, at least like, you know, a little financial stability there. It's predictable.
Yep.
And it's at some point you gotta man up and have the balls to make that leap. Maybe, you know, probably early on, you're going to be doing both. You know, you're going to be wearing 2 hats, working 9 to 5. And then at night you're burning the candle at both ends. But I think a lot of people get hung up in like, oh, the timing isn't right, or it's not, you know, the timing's never going to be right.
Never.
So that initial leap, and then right off the bat, you got to, you know, kind of take some time to think about what you're going to be all about. I think a lot of brands try to speak to everyone. And when you try to cast a really wide net, in my opinion, you speak to no one. You know what I mean? So right off the bat, say, what are we going to be all about? And what are we going to kind of stand for? And let's, you know, stick to that. You know, who am I going to market to? And then obviously that can grow in time. Like, you know, for us, we were born in CrossFit. And now I'm, you know, obviously realizing like we can reach other people credibly because there's other stuff that we do as a brand that like can speak to those other groups.
Yeah.
But right off the bat, we can't just be a general fitness brand because that's super diluted. Like we need to know your space we're working in and be super credible in that space and do it the old school way, going to the events, being present, talking to people, you know, in my case, competing. So it wasn't like fake that like we're a CrossFit brand because it's like, all right, this dude's doing it every day and competing.
Yeah.
So just knowing your demographic and then obviously just not being afraid to make mistakes. You know what I mean? Like there's no like playbook for running a business. You know what I mean? Right. Sometimes you just got to take a calculated risk. You know, I don't care if you have an MBA at Harvard, whatever it is. At the end of the day, it's a lot of it, I think is just your gut instinct and taking chances, calculated risks, and then, you know, pivoting off of that with what works and just rolling with it, man. So
such a great point. Yeah. That was like the hardest part for me with the coffee too. Exactly. It took probably 2 years to really like actually step in and actually start it. Exactly. Cause you're just nervous, right? You're like, well, what if this fails? Then I'm just a failure.
Yeah.
And, nobody likes anything more than to be a failure. Right. So, you know, like, but no, exactly. It was, that was the toughest thing was actually just being like, yeah, let's just do this. Let's just make it happen.
Yeah. And I think that to the mindset portion of that is like, don't be afraid to fail. And I think if you're not failing, right, like in your life and whatever that is, like in a way, you're probably not pushing the limits enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ironically, before Born Primitive, I had actually done a business that I was working on for like 3 years and it failed miserably. And within 3 months, I launched Born Primitive and people were like rolling their eyes. They're like, oh, here he's doing it again, you know? And I was like, screw that. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Let's go for it. And I was obviously able to apply a lot that I learned you know, sometimes the best way to learn is just make terrible mistakes yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, just having the mindset of not being afraid to fail. And I think that's huge because people are they're too hung up on that.
Definitely.
I think a lot goes for, there's a lot to be said too around business and just like you said, just getting started, because a lot of people, right, they put a lot of weight on like, well, I didn't have a business degree or I didn't get an MBA, right? And it's like, education's great, but it's not everything when it comes to business. Like a lot of it is just like, straight up, are you willing to fail? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to adapt? Are you willing to take advice? Like, can you make it happen? And I think a lot of people are surprised, right? And some of the most successful people in the world have nothing more than a high school degree, there we go. Josh pointed at himself. So, one of those
college for a year.
Successful people in La Mesa. But no, I mean, it's a lot to be said. Don't get me wrong. College is awesome. But I think a lot of people just need to start because there's no like kind of diploma or whatever that you can get that's going to guarantee success, right? It's just straight up hard work guarantees success for the most part. And I think a lot of CrossFit, I love that you said that, you understand your market because a lot of the most successful brands in CrossFit have transcended CrossFit, but knew where their niche market started and then grew from there. Like the Fit Aids of the world or whatever, where now you see them in,
exactly,
or whatever, Kill Cliff, you see them all over the country and Whole Foods and, CVS. It's like, but they first started just in your CrossFit gyms, right? Right. And that's, I mean, good dudes, we're trying to go from CrossFit to we're just still trying. Yeah, we're baby.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with where we're at. And we're just trying to get. My whole goal is just getting good coffee out to good people, letting people realize how crappy of coffee they've been drinking their entire lives.
Yeah,
and it's something you drink every single day. We talked about this earlier, where you're like, I'll spend good money on tattoos in my bed. It's like I'll add one more thing to that. I'll spend good money on coffee because I drink it every single day.
Yes.
Right? This tattoo is a part of my body for the rest of my life. That bed I sleep in every single night. This coffee I drink every single morning.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna spend a little more money on it, and I'm okay with it.
There you go. And one more thing. The apparel you train in.
There you go. Nice.
Hey,
there it is. Appreciate that, Coop. Thank you.
I think it's important, man. So I just think it's cool. I think it's cool to work beyond your market eventually, but you gotta come from humble beginnings. And good dudes. We're just trying to hammer down one thing now, but it's been thrilling to really watch it grow. And I think I have a very unique viewpoint, right? Because a lot of people just see Josh as Josh. They just YouTube videos, fitness, old CrossFit games, throwing his sunglasses when he couldn't deadlift. Just kidding.
Shout out 2013.
There it is.
But I think it's badass that we're sitting there on a phone call all the time, man. 9 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock at night, just jamming on ideas. Our thread, our text thread, for good dudes is always ripping and it just never stops. And it's cool to see how passionate and how above and beyond, you've gone for something that you genuinely believe in growing for a long time. So it's been sick, man. It's been a pleasure to do. So
no, it's been fun. I enjoy exactly. I think once you find something you're super passionate about, it's easy. And I think that was my whole life. Super passionate about wrestling and baseball growing up, wrestling college, dropped out, decided I want to go the business route because that's where I thought I wanted to go. And, lost that drive, lost that passion, and then got it back when I found CrossFit and found hey, I'm going to go try to be a Navy SEAL. And then from there on, I feel I've just everything I do now, if I love it, I'm going to go pro in it. You know what I mean? I'm going to take up boxing. Oh, I'm going to go pro. Oh, I'm going to start a coffee company. Let's be the best coffee company in the entire world. And I think, it's just been such a cool ride, throughout the years. I wish, we could share more stories, but, for another time.
Hell yeah. And I think for you guys, one thing I've learned is don't overlook the one-on-one interactions with customers. Cause we go to events and I still get people that come up to me I remember first time I saw you guys was at regionals 2014, you had just come from the event floor and you were super nice and I've been a fan ever since. And we've been shopping you guys, that's how you build it brick by brick.
For sure.
And I think a lot of brands overlook that, especially if you're the owner, I don't need to be out there talking with it. It's no,
right.
You need 6.5 years in, I'm still the one checking you out at Wadapalooza. And they're oh, you're the owner? Yeah, I'm here. I'm in the trenches, man. I'm not
right.
I'm not up in the VIP watching the last event.
Exactly.
So and same thing with the coffee, man, just building it, one customer at a time, getting that loyal following. And obviously showing them your good product. That's, over 5-6 years, that's going to be a huge foundation.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's good advice right there. I like that.
I love the saying brick by brick.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
I dig it.
We're going to, besides get your inch,
I probably stole that from some like football coach.
Well, I mean,
It's some like
That sounds like a football.
it's like some
inspiring-
preseason, so probably the strength coach in the off season is talking about like, all right, we win here, like get on the squat rack and
brick
out
by
there.
brick.
Yeah, exactly.
Build this. Barstool made a hat with it, and I was like, oh, I want that.
That said brick by brick.
Yeah, I was like,
oh, really?
We might still use it. But what's the one we said today? 415. I swear you said that. We're in the middle of the
I must have
workout,
blacked out, man.
and Bear was like, 415, and I was like, yeah, fourth quarter, last 15 minutes. That's a sick saying.
That could work.
And then I was like, I asked him, he's like, yeah, I didn't say that. Yes, you did.
I might have to backtrack. Maybe I did say it.
Dude,
I don't know.
I think that's a new thing.
Let's play back the tape. See.
Don't play back the tape. See me hands on knees for a lot of that workout.
It's out there. It's out there, right? We're going to put that out there.
415. That's trademarked.
Month later, Coop's got a apparel brand called 415.
Exactly.
415 primitive.
There it is.
No, I'm telling you, that's a good thing. Don't worry,
Should we talk about like the, that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so another really cool thing that's happening is, for those of you tuning in, because
White Bear is here, basically.
Yeah.
Other than, just want to hang out with another good dude.
That's right.
And getting a good workout and sipping some coffee, is that we're actually partnering with Born Primitive and JB, and we're going to do, a little JB apparel line. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I mean, if you want to guys want to talk to what it is that we're going to be coming out with, something kind of small to start, but really exciting, and it's going to be it's going to be awesome to have a company of their stature and quality behind that brand. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're pumped, man. I think bottom line, we're obviously going to help you make stuff that you want to train in. And I know you obviously got a big following and people, you bring credibility if you're going to put your name on it. I know obviously you're going to make sure it's good to go.
Yeah.
Obviously we've been in the game a little bit with apparel, so we, know the drill and can, bring good stuff your way. So yeah, I mean, I'm pumped to do the collaboration. Hopefully the people are stoked about what we roll out and, just getting started. So we'll see what it turns into.
Yeah, it was a cool process, Bear had reached out and, or I'd be honest, I don't even know how the actual contact met or whatever. But anyways, either way, we started talking about what you want and what you need. And he started sending products over and I was like, I just loved them. And so I was stoked to be able to put my name on an awesome brand already. So I'm excited. And I hope you guys are excited. I think you guys will like what's coming out. And I think you guys will, you'll dig it. We'll have just a few items to start out with, see how it goes. And we'll go from there and hopefully it'll grow and become something awesome.
Hell yeah.
There'll be some more love for the dudes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I know.
The good dudes in the
VP
world.
gets a little slanted in the ladies' direction.
Yeah.
I'm not there all the time.
Right.
And we have like 90% of our employees are girls. So it's a little, yeah. So this will hopefully balance it out a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. I had to drop the jorts earlier in the last year to kind of, swing the pendulum another direction, but they're still.
Then you immediately had to follow up with women's jorts.
Yeah. And then the ladies all got mad. Where's our jorts?
The jorts are great, by the way. If you want to feel like you piss excellence, put on a pair of jorts.
If you haven't seen the jorts or gotten a pair, first and foremost, you have to be a man to pull these things off.
Yeah,
like 100%. If you are insecure whatsoever about you as a man, these aren't going to be for you. But they're awesome. And I love them. And the moment I put them on, I was like, I dig these. I really did.
And if I can offer a recommendation from a fashion standpoint, I recommend you find a local saddle shop or a Western outfitter. Buy like an authentic, like cowboy, like Western belt.
Yes.
And add that to the mix. I wore that to the gym the other day. And this girl was like, are you literally wearing a belt with jean shorts and you're like a real human working out? I was like, yes, I am. She's like, that's ridiculous.
Don't you forget.
And then I put a belt on top of that, a weight belt. Like we're doing like heavy cleans, I'm like belting up with a leather belt.
Oh man.
Change the game, man. Don't be afraid.
They are fantastic. They are so comfortable. They're they're snug. They look good. So
in all the right places.
Yeah, right. But yeah, they're fantastic, man. And I was like, I literally called Jason, I was like, you have Bear send me those jorts right now. And had them literally 3 days later on my doorstep. And I was like, oh, these are fantastic.
Yeah, most like girlfriends and wives hate them, but we gotta, we gotta.
Do they really, or are they just like slightly jealous of how good your butt looks in them, dude? I think it's probably just a jealousy.
It's like our version of leggings, kind of. The girls can get away with wearing leggings, and obviously, big fan of that
Let's
fashion trend.
Love
Exactly.
So the women love the jorts, man, and if they don't, maybe they don't actually love you. So I mean, hey, Jason was rocking the jorts the other day, and he's a total dad, so he's all about it.
I had mine on 3 days ago. That's
right. Well, you have the camel ones too, right?
I have camels. I have multi-cam ones and the denim jorts. Both are fantastic.
And Josh is like super particular when it comes to clothing. Like,
it's insane.
I've received many a text message about a good dude shirt that's like, no, this is not going to fly.
This is not going to work. I don't like this. I don't like the way it feels. I don't like the way the neck fits. Nothing. I'm very particular about my clothing. And I passed that gene on to my younger Jack, man, my older son doesn't, he's not too worried about it. He's like just throwing clothes on. But my little man, Knox, very, very particular when it comes to clothing. And so I get where he got it from. It's me.
Hey man, you like what you like.
Like what you like.
And that's it.
Exactly.
Double down on that.
Hey, you hold the standard.
Incredible. But then, well, obviously we've worked with lab management groups, worked with Born Primitive, with Bethany and Amanda being, two of your guys' athletes, and that's been incredible. Like, how's that been, Bear, working with these high caliber athletes that are all over the country, but like occasionally you get them together and like get some activations, and you guys did really something cool in Colorado. Like, how's that experience been?
It's been awesome, man. I mean, they're just absolute studs, all of them. Obviously I was competitive at one point, but when they came into town and trained with us for like 4 days, I've never been more smoked in my life. We'd hit a workout and then Amanda would be like, hey, do you want to like row and do sled pushes? And I'm like, sure. We do that. And then like Danny wanted to do like 2,000 GHDs. And it was just like, literally all they wanted to do was train. And it was good for me to kind of like get reset and like remember like the dedication that it took at that point. Allison rolled up and she had a scale, and at breakfast she was like weighing her raspberries, and I was giving her shit like, are you really weighing raspberries right now? It's freaking at that level, and Josh, this, like those little things compounded over a whole year. And like sleep and recovery and all those little things. I mean, that's what it takes to be a games athlete.
Yeah.
And the margin of error is so small. And if you don't do those little things right. So I think that's been the coolest thing. Like, I wish I could see them more in person, and I know they're super busy, so I can't ask them to come out to, VB every, couple of months and train with me, but it was cool. And obviously we shot a lot of content, and, they represent our brand really well and are great competitors. And, that's why we wanted to work with them, because they kind of portray that Born Primitive mindset.
Speaking of dedication, this is a good segue, because this is one of my, Josh, when you didn't make it to the games in 2015.
What?
You kind of...
What year was that?
Yeah, you
thanks for bringing it up, bro.
I love it. Any chance. You kind of lost your mind a little bit and went wild.
I lost it.
So, like, what was that process like when you went from 2015 looking up at the Jumbotron and the emotions, feelings, because was it sixth place?
Took sixth place, yeah.
Yeah, so like one spot out, and then all of a sudden... if you were to flash forward, it'd be Josh with 12 more inches of hair, the infamous beard and goatee, or mustache and goatee. Like what was that like? Because
that was a really interesting time in my life. Like 15 was a crazy year. A lot happened that year. Got out of the military that year, which was right after not qualifying. Right, like it was like October. I got out in October of 2015. I didn't qualify that year in May. And I was like, I'm leaving a very secure position to take a leap of faith that, I could be a professional athlete for a little bit. And, really happy that I did. Get to spend so much more time with my kids and got to watch them, grow up and not be on deployments all the time, which has been huge. But, having that failure in life, we were literally, talking about that just not a couple minutes ago, but having that failure, I've never had more passion, more drive, more determination than I did at that moment. And it was I look back at 2015 and I'm so thankful for it, right? Like that time in my life, it was just like the moment I stopped feeling sorry for myself. For about a month, I felt sorry for myself. I, drank a lot. I remember I left the floor of the 2015 regionals, came to a bar up here, and got completely hammered by myself for the rest of the night, and like literally like drank a lot for about a month, and then realized like, okay, you can either take this two ways. You can either go one way where you feel sorry for yourself and you didn't go because of someone else, or you can point the finger at yourself and change everything that you wish you would have done in those moments that you decided not to go into the gym or not to eat right or not to get as much sleep as I could have, and fix all of it. And that's exactly what I did for 16. And 16 was such a fun year, and it was the passion and the drive that I got behind me on that. It was really fun, and it was an eye-opening thing. And the failure was the big part of it, right? And it was great, and exactly like it. I remember reading stories of like other athletes. I want to say it was Jeremy Shockey who talked about he went home when he was a kid and he lost a little league football game and ate dirt because he wanted to remember what it tasted like to eat dirt and like to have that taste in his mouth from losing. And I was like, I remember like thinking that like, so I remember Saban was right there when I looked up at the jumbo screen and saw that I didn't qualify. And I was like, and I saved that picture and I looked at it like almost every day to be like, I don't ever want to have that feeling that I was having at that moment when I realized I didn't make it, and didn't put in the work, I didn't put in the time, I didn't put in the dedication that I needed to reach my goal. I had a plan, but I didn't execute on it. So it was a really cool experience. I'm thankful for it.
Hell yeah. I think one of the, obviously like people didn't really get to see all the hard work that goes into, making those changes. They just get to see, 2016 regionals where you went on an absolute tear, yeah. Right? And there's incredible photos and, media around it. Because you took first in the region right after that one.
Yeah.
Which was wild, right? And you got to, I think you pulled your boys up on the podium and stuff. Like,
I'm sure I did.
Yeah. Just really, really a cool thing. But I think one of my favorite moments is I remember, this is before I was working with Lab and with Jason and you. There was a YouTube video and you were snatching in the garage and you were trying to do the snatch ladder, right? And your PR was below 265 for the last double. And whoever you were training with was like, well, what are you going to do? And you're like, well, I'm going to snatch it. I'm going to figure it out on the floor. Like, that's no problem. Like, There was like zero. And then literally, Josh goes out there, gets to 265 PRs, and then hits it again to finish the thing.
For a double.
Damn. Like literally PR'd and then matched the PR. And this was like in between, like it was like miss, hit, miss, hit. Like, dude, ask anybody else. You're not pulling your PR for 6 freaking pulls and hitting like that. Like, that just doesn't happen.
It's adrenaline, bro.
Yeah. And it's honestly, the misses fired me up so much because when you miss, it's just like the guttural, like screaming the F word.
I feel I knew I had to wait, right? It was just like, I was like, I got this.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the positioning correct. My movement was just slightly off. And I remember, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember that YouTube. I don't remember who did it, but I remember I never actually even attempted 265 prior to the regional. I would get the weight and I would do snatch pulls with it because I could easily hit all the weights up to 245. Even and the 245 even always felt smooth. But the moment I put 265 on, I don't know if it was just like a mental block, but I was like, I don't even want to attempt it and fail in training prior to going out there
to potentially have the block.
Because I knew when I got on the floor, I'd be able to hit it.
Yeah.
It just was that's always kind of been my motive. I was like, a lot of people are really good at practicing, and you've probably seen this throughout your career as a athlete. A lot of people are really good in the practice room or on the practice field, and then you comes to game time, and it's just a different place, right? And you see the best rise to the top in those scenarios instead of in practice. And so for me, I've always been, I'm maybe not the best guy in practice, but like when it comes to like being on the floor, man, like that's where like I love it. I love the
that's where it matters.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's oh man, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Like, yeah, so that was
a fun year.
That was a wild thing. Because and even in that event, I think you took like 10th place. But just the fact that you went out there and PR'd and like said, but you did what you said you were going to do. Yeah, it was like everybody was put on notice. It was like, this is changed. This is a madman. Yeah, and then you had the crazy scientist there. But
it's good times.
Yeah, man. So I think it'll be a cool thing to dissect those things a little bit more in coming episodes. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
Great taste of that.
We just went off on a little tangent here.
Dude, I'm just saying, there's a few things that fire me up because I've seen a lot of the things that like the athletes have done in the space, but that was one of them.
Well, I think you can apply that mentality to anything. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you took a gut punch, you got 6th place, you missed it by one freaking spot.
Yeah.
I'm sure you thought back of, Invent 2, had I done this,
Oh, yeah.
had I not gone unbroken, I would have been 3 seconds faster. You know,
Yep.
we all do that in sports, and you dissect every freaking play.
Yeah.
But, rather than feeling sorry for yourself and being, maybe for a few days you did, you went on a little bender, which is,
Yeah,
whatever,
happens,
got a little
right?
tore up, but
Right.
then you figured it out. And I think, unfortunately, I think a lot of people take the reverse mindset, when they, whatever it is, they get a little adversity and then they, it actually puts them down more when it's like, screw that, identify the problem, fix it and keep moving,
Exactly.
I think it's really good for people to hear that, yourself, like, obviously you guys have very, sharpened and honed mindsets having the military background and what you guys have gone through. And so the fact that you can, hear that you clearly had a failure, had a rough patch,
Yeah.
dug yourself out of the dirt and got after it, right? Bear, your first company, totally flopped.
Yeah.
And you said, screw it. I don't care what people say.
Do it again.
Right back in. And now BP is one of the staple brands in the space. So yeah, I feel like that's like a pretty awesome place to stop, and it's an inspiring place to stop. And so,
Yeah.
If you're somebody out there who needs it, get your ass in gear.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
Yep.
yeah. It's cool. It's cool to watch. It's cool to see. It's cool. It's cool to watch Born Primitive grow as a brand throughout the CrossFit space. I've been around since the beginning. I mean, I started doing CrossFit in 2005. So I've watched literally CrossFit grow and all these other little companies and be born from it, right? Not no pun intended, they're born primitive. But,
Yeah.
but like, that, and it's been such a cool thing. And, to see another military guy, brother. And so it's awesome to see. And I just appreciate you coming on and coming over.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, guys. And thanks for letting me get a pump in. I know all the gyms are closed and stuff. So
Right.
it's good to get on that deadlift and rip the hammies up a little bit.
That's right, baby. They'll be nice and tight tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for
As
sure.
Directors.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, if you, if you're listening in here, don't forget, you spend a lot of time in your bed. You spend a lot of time drinking coffee, which you very much need. You spend a lot of time training, so you need good apparel. And I don't even remember what the 4th thing was.
Well, the
Tattoos.
second one was tattoos.
Yeah,
So
tattoos.
if that's your
Tattoos,
thing,
right,
it's
yeah.
like, there's
Bro,
one thing
I
don't
got-
go cheap on is
Yeah.
tattoos. You got it your whole life. But
Right.
Yeah, and if
bed, coffee are other great
If you
options.
saw the
Exactly.
cool sleeves these guys have, you know they didn't go cheap. And I have one little baby tattoo. So I'm going to cover that up. But my mom's got a matching one. It's awesome. All right, guys. Until the next episode, JB, this is your cast. Sign it off.
Yeah, man. Don't forget to pay the man.